Welcome back to Kringle's Christmas Stories, brought to you by KringlesChristmas.com, home of Comet's Choice Premium Reindeer Food. Reindeer tested, Santa approved. Tonight, we're taking a trip around the world as the clock strikes 12 with global New Year's tales. From bustling city streets to quiet villages nestled in snowy landscapes, we'll hear how children in different corners of the world celebrate this special night. So get cozy, grab a mug of cocoa, and join us as we dive into these enchanting stories of New Year's Eve from around the globe. Our first stop is Japan, where we meet a young girl named Yumiko. The lacquered boxes gleam under the soft glow of the kitchen lanterns, their surfaces reflecting golden light. Each box overflows with tiny treasures. Rolls of sweet tamagoyaki arranged with precision, their golden spirals glistening beside glossy black beans, their syrupy sheen catching every flicker of the flame. Yumiko balances on her tiptoes, her wide eyes just clearing the counter's edge. Her grandmother's hands, steady despite their wrinkles, move deftly with a pair of chopsticks, arranging lotus fruit slices into a perfect fan, each piece patterned with delicate holes like snowflakes. The savory aroma of dashi broth curls through the air, mingling with the clean citrus tang of freshly polished wooden floors. The house hums with quiet anticipation, its corners scrubbed to a soft shine. Even the air feels alive, as though the walls themselves are waiting to welcome the new year. Soy sauce, her grandmother murmurs, her gaze fixed on the boxes. Yumiko scurries to the pantry, her bare feet pattering against the cool, smooth floor. The bottle is cold in her small hands as she passes it to her grandmother, who nods in approval. "Good girl," she says, her voice warm and steady like the simmering pot on the stove. The sun has long dipped behind the horizon, leaving the house bathed in the soft glow of paper lanterns. From the living room comes the faint clinking of teacups and the rustling of fabric as Yumiko's older brother adjusts the kotatsu's thick blanket. Outside, the winter wind whistles through the bamboo and pine katamatsu, rattling the festive arrangement that guards the front door. Yumiko's stomach growls faintly, a gentle protest, but she doesn't mind. She loves the deliberate rhythm of New Year's Eve in her family's home, the warmth, the unhurried sense of purpose in every movement, every word. The meal is ready just as the deep toll of temple bells begins to echo faintly through the night. The table, low and lacquered to a perfect shine, reflects the vivid colors of the Oseki Ryori. Yumiko kneels on a cushion beside Kenta, her knees brushing the smooth tatami mat. Her father enters, balancing a tray of steaming bowls. He sets down the ozoni in front of her, the broth clear and shimmering, flecked with tiny droplets of golden oil. A sock-mochi disc bobs lazily at the surface, surrounded by spirals of pink and white kamaboko fish cakes, their patterns blooming like tiny fireworks. "Itebakimasu," the family murmurs, bowing their heads in unison. The smooth wood of her chopsticks feels cool against Yumiko's fingers as she picks up a piece of mochi. Its sticky softness yields to the broth's rich warmth, filling her mouth with comfort. Her mother slides a slice of sweet potato chestnut paste onto her plate, and Yumiko giggles as the sugary bite melts on her tongue. "This is my favorite part of the year," she whispers almost to herself. Across the table, her grandfather chuckles, his teacup poised midair. "Good food brings good spirits," he says, his smile crinkling his eyes. "With spirits like this, I'd say the year ahead looks very promising." The kontatsu's heat seeps into Yumiko's legs. As laughter ripples through the room, the shared warmth of food and family wrapping around her like a second blanket. Later bundled in scarves and coats, Yumiko walks briskly through the quiet neighborhood streets with her family. The world outside feels hushed, as if holding its breath. Snow crunches underfoot, each step releasing tiny puffs of sound into the still air. The frosty cold nips at her cheeks, turning her breath into soft clouds. Lanterns cast a warm orange glow from doorways, their light stretching into long shadows that ripple across the snow-dusted pavement. Ahead, the temple's stone steps rise dark and imposing like a staircase to the stars. Yumiko climbs carefully, her small boots slipping on the worn stones, her legs aching with the effort. Her mother's firm hand rests on her shoulder, steadying her as they ascend. At the top, the courtyard stretches wide, framed by towering pine trees dusted with snow. The temple itself looms in shadow, its curved roof catching the faintest glimmer of moonlight. From inside, the rhythmic chants of monks flow outward, low and steady, blending seamlessly with the whispering rustle of the trees. Yumiko kneels with her family on the woven mats, her breath hitching as her gaze lands on the massive bronze bell standing in the shadowed corner of the courtyard. Its presence feels almost alive, radiating a quiet power that sends a shiver through her. The first toll strikes as the clock marks midnight. Gong. The sound vibrates through the courtyard, impossibly deep, as though the earth itself is speaking. It echoes in Yumiko's chest, a physical weight that lingers before rolling into the forest beyond. Gong. The second toll follows, resonant and soothing. Yumiko closes her eyes, letting the sound wash over her. Each strike seems to pull at something within her, a memory, a worry, a fleeting frustration. She imagines them leaving her chest, dissipating into the crisp night air with every reverberation of the bell. Her fingers press gently against the edge of the mat as a soft smile touches her lips. The calm left behind feels like a gift, a clearing for the new year to take root. By the time the 108th toll fades into silence, the air in the courtyard feels lighter, as though swept clean. Yumiko opens her eyes to find her grandfather's hand resting warmly on her shoulder. His smile reassuring. "Happy New Year," he whispers. "Happy New Year," she echoes, her voice soft, her heart full. The walk home is quieter, the snow-muted streets glowing faintly in the first hints of dawn. Yumiko steps slow as a pale streak of pink spills across the horizon, soft and tentative. "Yumiko-chan," her father says, stopping beside her. He points to the lightening sky. "The first sunrise of the year. Beautiful, isn't it?" Yumiko nods, her scarf muffling her voice as she gazes upward. The sunrise spreads as golden hues blending into the edges of the sky, painting the snow with a soft blush. It feels like a whispered promise, fragile and new. Back at home, Yumiko kicks off her boots and unwinds her scarf, her exhaustion heavy but warm. She pads to the kotatsu, slipping under its blanket. The heat envelops her, pulling her towards sleep. Kenta slides in beside her, tossing a blanket over their shoulders. His voice is heavy with drowsiness as he asks, "What's your resolution this year?" Yumiko considers for a moment, her words soft but certain, to be more patient and to help Obasan cook more. Kenta smirks, giving her a playful nudge. "Good luck with that." She laughs quietly, not minding his teasing. As her eyes close, the faint echoes of the bell's tolls hum in her memory, a gentle rhythm beneath the warmth of her family's presence. The kotatsu cradles her in its embrace, the new year unfolding just beyond her dreams. Our next New Year's adventure takes us to Italy, where we meet Luca, a young boy eagerly anticipating the festivities. The rich aroma of lentils simmering with garlic and rosemary wafts through the kitchen, wrapping the space in warmth. Luca leans on the counter, his chin resting on his hands, watching the heavy clay pot on the stove. Steam bursts under the rattling lid, and his mother stirs the bubbling stew with rhythmic precision. Her favorite red-striped apron, worn and faded, hugs her waist. She hums a familiar tune, her movement smooth and practiced as the ladle scrapes against the pot. "Luca, have you set the table yet?" she asks, glancing over her shoulder. "Almost," he calls, darting into the dining room. The long wooden table stretches before him, half-dressed with plates and glasses. He carefully aligns each piece of silverware, the cool metal gleaming under the soft light of the chandelier. In the corner, his grandmother sits in her favorite armchair, knitting needles, clicking softly as her fingers work a skein of pale blue yarn. Her voice rises gently above the quiet clatter. "Luca, are you wearing your red shirt tonight?" "Yes, Nana," he answers, flashing a grin as he adjusts a crooked spoon. "It's lucky, right?" Her eyes sparkle as she nods. "Very lucky. Red brings fortune and health. What better way to start the year?" The kitchen buzzes as midnight inches closer. A loaf of crusty bread sits on a wooden board, its golden brown crust catching the glow from overhead. Steam curls from bowls of lentils in the center of the table, their earthy scent mingling with the smoky tang of roasted peppers and sizzling sausages. Luca's father slices the bread with precision, each piece falling into soft, even portions. "Do you know why we eat lentils on New Year's?" his father asks, pausing with a slice in hand. "Because they bring money," Luca says, grinning wider now. "That's right." His father nods, holding up a fork full of lentils like a prize. "Each one looks like a tiny coin. Eat plenty and who knows how rich you'll be." Luca laughs, scooping a generous portion onto his plate. He isn't sure about the money part, but the promise of luck and abundance makes every bite taste better. The sausages, smoky and tender, mix perfectly with the lentils, their juices pooling on his plate. His mother passes a tray of roasted peppers, their charred skins glistening, and Luca piles them high. "Eat, eat," Nana urges, waving her hands. "A hearty appetite brings a good year." By the end of the meal, Luca feels warm and content, his stomach happily full. He pushes back his chair as a flurry of laughter echoes from the hall. His cousins burst into the room, cheeks pink from the cold. "Luca, come on," Sophia calls, tugging his sleeve. "Let's go to the balcony." He follows her down the narrow hallway, their footsteps tapping softly on the tiled floor. They step onto the balcony where the cold air nips at his cheeks. Luca leans over the metal railing, the chill seeping through his sleeves. Below, the cobblestone street glows under lantern light, their golden pools reflecting faintly on the quiet road. Inside, the adults clink glasses of sparkling wine, and cider, their laughter rising above the crackle of the fire. Nana's joyful tone carries even through the closed doors. Sophia nudges Luca, leaning close. Are you going to do it this year? Of course, he whispers back, a mischievous glint in his eye. Every year, the cousins find the most useless objects in the house for their favorite New Year's tradition, tossing them from the balcony to say goodbye to the old year. This time, Luca clutches an old shoe with its sole peeling like a tired tongue and a broken alarm clock rattling with useless gears. Sophia holds a battered straw hat. Ready? Luca asks, gripping the railing. Ready. Sophia's eyes gleam with excitement. 3, 2, 1, go. The objects tumble through the air, twisting and turning before landing with satisfying thuds below. Goodbye, old year, Luca shouts, his hands cupped around his mouth. Sophia bursts into laughter, and the sound is infectious. The cold night air feels lighter for ear, as though they've thrown away more than objects. Every worry, every bad moment feels left behind on the street below. Inside, the countdown begins. The family gathers in the living room, voices blending as they chant along with the television. 19. Luca stands between his parents, his pulse quickening with every number. The room vibrates with excitement, every corner alive with the energy of anticipation. Setse. Nana reaches for Luca's hand, her grip steady and warm. 5, 4. His father raises his glass, a proud smile lighting his face. 3, 2, 1, buon anno. Cheers erupt around the room as fireworks explode in the night sky. Luca rushes to the window, his breath fogging the glass as he presses his nose close. Bursts of red, gold, and green ripple across the darkness, their brilliant streaks casting shimmering reflections on the frosted panes. His cousins join him, their faces smushed against the glass, their laughter mingling with the distant crackles outside. Later, the family gathers again around the table, now laden with sweet treats. Luca reaches eagerly for a slice of panettone, the buttery crumb dotted with raisins and candied orange peel. The first bite melts on his tongue, rich and light all at once. His mother slides another slice onto his plate, and he licks his fingers, savoring the sugary glaze. As the house quiets, Luca leans back in his chair, his eyelids drooping. Nana reaches out, brushing a stray crumb from his cheek with a smile that feels like a secret shared between them. This year will be a good one, Luca, she says softly. I can feel it. Her words linger as Luca's mind drifts toward the year ahead. Somewhere in the still night outside, the faint echo of a firework hums like a promise, threading through the quiet like an unbroken thread. Our New Year's journey now takes us to Nigeria, where we meet a young girl named Amara. The sun hangs low in the sky, casting its golden glow over the streets of Lagos. The warm light bathes the bustling city in a rich amber hue, its colors deepened by the long shadows of late afternoon. The air is alive with the mingling scents of grilled meat, spicy pepper stew, and the tangy sweetness of jollof rice wafting from open windows and street stalls. Amara darts out onto the veranda of her family's home, her bare feet thudding softly against the worn wooden boards. Her eyes sparkle with excitement as she leans over the railing and grins at her brothers, setting up sparklers and small fireworks in the yard below. The neighborhood buzzes with activity. Children race up and down the street, their laughter ringing clear over the rhythmic beats of high-life music spilling from every open window. Brightly dressed vendors shout their wares from carts overflowing with yams, tomatoes, and spices. The sky, painted in hues of orange and pink, seems to hold its breath, suspended in a moment of calm before the final hours of the year slip away into night. Amara, don't forget your dress, her mother calls from inside, her voice carrying easily over the lively sounds of the evening. Amara spins on her heel and dashes back into the house. Inside the living room is a whirlwind of activity, the air thick with the mingling scents of food and lavender soap. Relatives who arrived earlier sit chatting, their voices a cheerful hum. Plates of food are spread across the dining table and colorful fabrics are draped over the chairs. Her mother stands by the sewing machine, holding up a bright yellow dress, adorned with tiny embroidered flowers. Go try this on, her mother says, passing the dress to her with a warm smile. You want to look your best for the new year, don't you? Amara nods, eagerly clutching the dress to her chest. The fabric is warm and smells faintly of lavender, freshly pressed from her mother's careful washing. She scurries to her room to change, slipping into the dress and admiring how the vibrant color brings out her glowing skin in the mirror. The embroidered flowers feel delicate under her fingers, their intricate patterns, a testament to her mother's skilled hands. By the time the stars begin to emerge, the feast is ready. The family sets up a long wooden table in the yard beneath strings of glowing lanterns, their soft light casting a golden glow on the scene. The table groans under the weight of steaming bowls and platters, each dish a masterpiece in its own right. Mounds of jollof rice glisten in the soft light, their bright orange grains speckled with tender chunks of meat and colorful vegetables. Plates of fried plantains are stacked high, their edges golden and crispy, filling the air with a tantalizing sweetness. Amara's father emerges from the house carrying the final dish, a platter of spicy grilled suya skewers. The aroma of smoky spiced meat wafts through the yard, and Amara's mouth waters at the sight of the skewers glistening into the lanterns. "Come and eat," her mother calls, and everyone rushes to the table, their laughter mingling with a distant hum of drums from neighboring houses. Amara slides into a chair between her brothers, her eyes wide as she surveys the spread. She reaches for the plantains, first their sticky sweetness melting on her tongue. Next, she piles her plate high with jollof rice. The rich, spiced flavors, a comforting favorite. Around her, the sound of clinking cutlery and cheerful chatter fills the air. The meal is a symphony of flavors, each bite a celebration of the year gone by, and the one about to begin. Amara laughs as her youngest brother, Toby, bites into a piece of peppered meat and immediately grabs his water, his face scrunched up in exaggerated agony. "Too hot for you." She teases her, grin wide and playful. Toby shakes his head stubbornly, even as his watery eyes give him away. Their laughter rings out into the warm night, mingling with the distant beats of celebratory music. After dinner, the sparklers come out. Amara takes one in her hand, watching as it crackles to life in a burst of golden sparks. The bright light illuminates her face, and she traces shapes in the air, giggling as the light trails behind her movements like a shooting star. Her brothers race across the yard, setting off small fireworks that burst into colorful showers of red, green, and gold. The booms echo through the neighborhood, joining the sounds of laughter and the steady rhythm of drums. "Amara, come inside," her father calls from the doorway, holding up a thick envelope. Curiosity sparks in her chest, and she runs to him, her yellow dress fluttering in the warm breeze. Their family has a cherished New Year's tradition, writing down their hopes and dreams for the year ahead. Her father hands her a slip of paper and a pen, his smile warm and encouraging. "Take your time," he says. "Write something you really want." Amara sits at the dining table, the pen hovering over the paper as she thinks deeply. Her mind drifts to her dreams, learning to dance like her graceful cousin Faye, earning better grades in math, and helping her mother more around the house. But one desire rises above the rest, clear and shining like the stars overhead. She writes it down carefully, her handwriting small and deliberate, and folds the paper neatly when she is done. At midnight, the neighborhood erupts into celebration. The sound of drums, horns, and jubilant cheers fills the air. Amara's family gathers in the yard, their arms linked as they shout together, "Happy New Year!" Fireworks light up the sky in vibrant bursts of color, their brilliance reflected in Amara's wide eyes. Her father takes the envelope of wishes and places it into a small wooden box, securing it with a soft snap. "These are our dreams," he says, his voice steady and filled with hope. "We'll open them next year and see how far we've come." Amara reaches for her mother's hand, their fingers lacing together as another firework bursts overhead, showering the sky with golden sparks. The warmth of the moment fills her chest, a quiet joy that feels as endless as the starry sky above. As the night grows quieter, the family settles into the living room. The hum of the festivities fades into the background, replaced by soft conversations and the distant echo of music. Amara leans against her mother, her head resting on her shoulder as her eyes grow heavy with sleep. "Did you write down something good?" her mother asks, her fingers stroking Amara's hair gently. Amara nods, her voice a sleepy murmur. "I wrote that I want to be brave enough to try new things this year." Her mother smiles, pressing a tender kiss to the top of her head. "You're already brave, my sweet girl. The new year is yours to make as wonderful as you dream." Amara closes her eyes, the distant sounds of drums and fireworks carrying her into a peaceful sleep. In her heart, she feels the quiet promise of the year ahead, a year filled with courage, joy, and endless possibilities. The soft glow of the lanterns outside flickers against the window, and the echoes of celebration drift into the night, holding the promise of a fresh start for everyone in the little neighborhood. Our next New Year's Eve celebration takes us to Russia, where we meet Anya and her family. Snow swirls like a living thing, dancing in intricate patterns against the dim glow of Moscow's streetlights. Anya presses her mittened hands to the frosted glass of her apartment window, leaning close until her breath fogs the surface. Outside, the city hums with life. Strings of lights stretch across lampposts, their warm glow reflecting on icy sidewalks. Families hurry by their coats, bundled tightly against the cold arms, filled with bulging shopping bags of gifts and food. Through the frost-rimmed pane, Anya catches the faint gleam of the Kremlin's golden domes. Snow softens the hard edges of the architecture, transforming the scene into something pulled from a fairy tale. Moscow in winter always feels magical. But tonight, on New Year's Eve, the city seems alive with enchantment. Behind her, the apartment buzzes with its own rhythm. The steady hum of the television blends with the rhythmic click of her grandmother's knitting needles. Pots clang and steam hisses from the kitchen, where her mother's voice rises above the sounds, firm but warm. "Anya, stop staring out the window and come help with the salad." Anya's boots thud softly against the wooden floor as she moves away from the glass. The air in the kitchen hits her like a warm embrace, heavy with the sense of roasted meat, sour pickles, and freshly baked bread. Her mother stands at the counter sleeves, rolled up, slicing deep red beets into thin, precise strips. The sharp, earthy scent of the beets mingles with the tang of vinegar from the jar of pickles nearby. "Spread the mayonnaise over the top," her mother says, handing her a spoon without looking up. "Evenly, please." Anya grins as she steps onto her toes to reach the glass dish. The colorful layers of potatoes, carrots, onions, and herring are already stacked neatly inside the dish, a vibrant mosaic. Slowly, she smooths the thick mayonnaise over the grated beet layer, each stroke deliberate. The glossy surface gleams under the overhead light, the finishing touch to a dish that feels as much an art piece as a meal. Her mother tucks a sprig of parsley into the center, tilting her head to inspect the dish. "Perfect," she murmurs, nodding in approval. The dining table in the adjoining room glows under the chandelier's soft light. Plates of rye bread and smoked fish are arranged beside bowls of shiny black caviar, their pearls catching the light like tiny jewels. A crystal dish holds pickled cucumbers and mushrooms, their briny aroma complementing the rich smell of a golden roast chicken, its skin crisp and glistening in the center of the spread. "Can I have some caviar now?" Anya asks, her eyes lingering on the glistening pearls. "Not yet, little one," her mother replies with a chuckle. "You'll have to wait until midnight." As the evening deepens, the family gathers in the living room. The Christmas tree, the yucca, stands in the corner, its branches heavy with glittering ornaments. Each bauble holds a memory, the shimmering glass catching the golden tinsel draped across the branches. At the top sits a silver star, sparkling like the first frost of the morning. Beneath the tree presents sit neatly wrapped, their ribbons curling into candy-like spirals. Anya curls up on the rug, the red wool of her sweater snug against her skin. Her father sits nearby, carefully pouring champagne into tall glasses for the adults and sparkling juice for the children. The festive clink of glass fills the room, a prelude to the night's celebration. "Who wants to make a New Year's wish first?" her father asks, holding up a small slip of paper and a pencil. Anya's hand shoots up. Her father chuckles, passing the paper to her with a smile. Leaning over the coffee table, she frowns in concentration, her pencil moving carefully. She chooses her words with care. "I want to be brave this year and try something new." The act of writing it down feels weighty, like a promise she is making to herself. When she finishes, her father lights a match, holding it steady as she folds the paper and touches it to the flame. The edges curl and darken the paper, crumbling into ash. Anya watches the delicate flakes drift into a small metal tin, their lightness belying the significance of the moment. "Now drink it," her father says, tipping the ashes into her glass of juice. Her heart skips as she raises the glass. The fizz tickles her nose as she swallows the juice, sweet and tart. Though the ashes leave no trace of flavor, the ritual feels like magic, her wish taking root deep within her. 5 minutes, her grandmother calls, her voice cutting through the hum of conversation. The family gathers around the television where the live broadcast of Red Square holds their attention. The Spasskaya Tower looms large on the screen, its clock's golden hands inching closer to midnight. Anya's mother passes around plates of sliced oranges and squares of dark chocolate, their tartness and richness mingling as the room buzzes with anticipation. "Devyat, Devyat, Vosam." The countdown begins booming from the television speakers. Anya clutches her glass tightly, her pulse quickening with every number. "Sem, Shest, Piat." Her grandmother raises her glass, her smile wide and sparkling. "Chitair, Java." The final strike of the clock brings an explosion of cheers. "Es Novem Godam." The family shouts their voices a joyful chorus. Anya throws her arms around her father, laughter bubbling out as the sound of fireworks filters through the windows. She races to the frosted glass, pressing her palms against it. The sky outside bursts into life, each firework a brilliant cascade of color red, green, gold, lighting up the snowy rooftops like a painting come alive. "Time to set off our fireworks," her father announces, pulling on his coat and scarf. Anya bundles into her thick boots and fluffy hat, the cold nipping at her cheeks as she steps into the snowy courtyard. Her brother hands her a sparkler, its hiss and crackle filling the air as bright sparks dance in the darkness. She waves it in wide arcs, laughing as the golden light trails her movements like a comet. Her brother set off firecrackers, the sharp pops sending sparks scattering over the snow. Laughter and shouts fill the air as neighbors join the celebration. Above, a firework blooms into a golden cascade, its light casting shadows in the snow. Anya tilts her head back, the icy air filling her lungs as the night feels vast and endless, each firework a promise written in light. Back inside, warmth wraps around her like a blanket. Her grandmother passes her a slice of Napoleon cake, the delicate layers of pastry and cream dusted with powdered sugar. "This will be a good one," her grandmother says, her voice steady, the certainty of her years behind it. Anya takes the bite, the sweetness melting on her tongue. Her thoughts drift to her wish as she feels the quiet confidence that maybe, just maybe, it will come true. The sound of distant fireworks fades into the background as she curls up on the sofa, her eyelids growing heavy. The night hums with promise, the world outside still alive with celebration. As sleep takes her, the faint echoes of cheers and the warmth of her family surround her, carrying her gently into the year ahead. Our next New Year's Eve story takes us to Argentina, where we'll meet Mateo. The sky over Buenos Aires stretches endlessly, a deep, cloudless blue that makes Mateo squint as he shades his eyes with one hand. His bare toes sink into the soft grass of the backyard, the air alive with the mingling scents of summer. The freshly cut lawn carries a faint sweetness layered with the smoky tang of marinated meat sizzling on the grill and a hint of blooming jasmine wafting over from the neighbor's garden. Behind him, laughter spills from the open kitchen door. His cousins dart in and out, balancing trays of empanadas and bottles of soda. The rhythmic chomp of a knife rings out, followed by a low, tuneful hum as his mother slices vegetables. The smell of ripe tomatoes mingles with the sharper tang of vinegar. "Mateo," his father calls, his voice booming over the yard. At the grill, he waves a pair of tongs, the glint of sunlight catching on his drink. "Come, Yoro, let's check the fire." Mateo runs barefoot, the blades of grass tickling his feet. Heat radiates from the bricks as he leans in close. Glowing coals pulse beneath sizzling strips of beef and sausage. "Is it ready?" he asks, eyes bright. His father flips a chorizo with practiced ease, the meat hissing as its juices hit the coals. "Not yet," he says with a grin, "but soon. You'll be the first to try it." Mateo's stomach growls and he grins back. The backyard table, dressed in a sunflower-patterned cloth, overflows with dishes. Golden empanadas glisten their flaky crusts, cradling spiced meat. Bowls of tomato and onion salad shimmer under a drizzle of olive oil. Charred zucchini peppers and eggplant curl at the edges on a central platter, their smoky aroma swirling in the air. Mateo sits between Sofia and Nico, their chatter tumbling over each other as they pass bowls back and forth. Sofia waves a piece of bread like a flag. "Pass the chimichurri." Mateo reaches for the ceramic bowl, its contents a vibrant green, flecked with garlic and parsley. He spoons the sauce over his steak, watching the liquid sink into the tender slices. The first bite fills his mouth with smoky richness, the tang of chimichurri cutting through the savory meat. He chews slowly, savoring the symphony of flavors. "You hear about tonight?" Nico says, grinning through a mouthful of grilled corn. "Clear skies. Perfect for fireworks." Mateo nods, licking his fingers. "I brought sparklers." Camille's voice rises from the far end of the table. "Fireworks." She claps her hands, her excitement spilling into laughter. "The big ones. Boom." Her father raises his glass, his voice calm but teasing. "First we eat, then we celebrate." As the sun dips lower, the golden light softens. Strings of fairy lights cast a warm glow over the yard, their reflections dancing in Mateo's wide eyes as he lies on the grass. He props his hands behind his head, watching the first stars prick the twilight. Laughter ripples from the table where his family lingers, their voices blending with the rhythmic hum of cicadas. A faint pop of a distant firecracker punctuates the sounds of the night. "Mateo," Sofia calls, tucking him upright. "You're not dozing, are you?" "No," he mumbles, brushing grass from his shirt. "Just thinking." "Think later." She pulls him toward the table, her fingers cool against his wrist. "It's time for the toast." The candle at the table's center flickers its flame, painting Mateo's mother's face with soft light. She scans the gathered family, her expression calm yet expectant. "We'll toast soon," she says, her voice steady. "But first, what are we thankful for?" Mateo fidgets with the edge of his glass as his father begins his words, filled with gratitude for health and family. His grandmother speaks next, her voice gentle, as she recalls the joy of another year surrounded by her grandchildren. When Mateo's turn comes, the words stick for a moment. He presses his palms flat on the table before finally speaking. "I'm thankful for all of you," he says, his tone shy but warm, "and for being here tonight." His mother's smile is quiet, her gaze lingering on him for a beat longer than usual. Around the table, glasses clink softly in unison, the family's voices rising with each toast. To family, to love, to the new year. The first match strikes with a sharp hiss, its flame sputtering as Mateo lights his sparkler. The golden sparks sizzle and crackle, drawing patterns in the air as he waves it, laughing. Around him, his cousin sparklers glow like tiny fireworks, tracing shapes against the dark sky. Camilla twirls in circles, leaving trails of light that linger for a heartbeat before fading. Look, I'm writing my name. On the patio, Mateo's father kneels by a tall firework cylinder, the fuse curling tightly like a question mark. He lights it, retreating quickly as the sparks catch. Watch. A sharp whistle cuts through the stillness as the firework climbs. It bursts into an explosion of red and gold, the color shimmering against the indigo sky. Mateo's chest swells as another follows, a cascade of green and blue rippling outward like a jeweled tide. His hands grip the fence as the ground vibrates with each burst. Smoke lingers in the cool night air, mixing with the sense of charred wood and spent fireworks. This is the best part. Mateo nods, his gaze locked on the vibrant display. He can't imagine anything better. The firework finale leaves the sky quiet, the faint smoke still curls in the distance. Back at the table, Mateo reaches for a slice of pan dulce. The fluffy bread is speckled with dried fruits and nuts, its glaze sticky on his fingers. He takes a second slice, savoring the subtle sweetness. His grandmother slides a plate of almond nougat his way. The candy is soft and chewy, each bite dissolving into a memory of past celebrations. Mateo glances around the table, the faces of his family glowing under the fairy lights. Every New Year's Eve feels different, yet somehow the same. Full and content, Mateo stretches out on the grass again, the stars above brighter now. Their faint shimmer blends with the rhythm of the cicadas, the hum lulling him into a daze. Mateo, what do you want for the new year? He doesn't answer immediately. His fingers toy with the grass as he thinks, his words deliberate when they finally come. I want to be braver, maybe even try surfing. Her hand smooths the curl from his forehead, her touch warm. You can. The new year is a blank canvas. Mateo exhales, the weight of the day settling in his chest like a steady, comforting flame. Around him, his family's voices weave through the stillness, their cadence familiar. Above, the stars shine just a little brighter, as though they agree. Now we travel to Egypt, where we meet Layla as she celebrates her new year. The warm glow of twilight spills across the streets of Cairo, painting the sandstone buildings in hues of gold. Layla grips the iron railing of her family's balcony, leaning forward to catch the fading light of the sun as it dips below the horizon. The city stretches out beneath her, alive with sound and color. Vendors shout from their stalls, their voices rising over the clatter of pots and pans, while the aroma of sizzling spices drifts upward. A car horn blares in the distance, cutting through the constant hum of conversation. The evening carries a chill that brushes against her skin, hinting at winter without fully embracing it. Strings of lights blink above shop entrances, their glow softening the edges of the growing darkness. Every corner of the street seems to pulse with anticipation, a collective hum of energy that promises something special. Layla, come help me with the table. Layla pushes off the railing and steps back into the apartment. The air inside greets her like an embrace, thick with the aroma of kushari lentils, rice, and fried onions melding into an earthy, savory warmth. Her mother stands at the stove, sleeves rolled up, stirring a bubbling pot with steady hands. The rhythmic scrape of the wooden spoon against metal mingles with the soft sizzle of flatbreads puffing up on a cast iron skillet. Here, take these to the table, and don't forget the pomegranates. Layla balances the tray carefully, her steps deliberate as she carries it to the dining room. The table gleams under the light of the chandelier, already adorned with colorful dishes and a silver teapot. A wooden bowl of glossy dates sits beside a stack of golden coins, their surfaces gleaming like treasure. Layla places the plates carefully, arranging them just so before reaching for a bowl of pomegranate seeds. The deep red jewels glisten, their vibrant hue like drops of frozen sunlight. She trails her fingers over the smooth rim of the bowl before setting it down. As stars prick the night sky, the family gathers around the table. Layla's grandmother takes her place at the head, her silver hair swept into a neat bun. Amir, Layla's younger brother, wriggles in his chair, his wide eyes darting toward the steaming bowls of kushari in the center of the table. Patience, Amir. Good things come to those who wait. Layla watches her father ladle generous portions of kushari onto each plate, the rice and lentils forming fragrant mounds. He adds a crown of fried onions, their golden crispness, a delicate balance of texture, and finally drizzles a tangy tomato sauce over the top. The bright red contrasts beautifully with the earthy browns and yellows of the dish, a feast for the eyes as much as the stomach. The first bite explodes on Layla's tongue, a symphony of flavors and textures. The lentils are hearty, the onions add a satisfying crunch, and the tomato sauce cuts through with its sharp, vibrant tang. Her father sprinkles a handful of pomegranate seeds onto her plate, the sweet juice bursting against the savory flavors. Layla glances at Amir, whose face lights up as he pops a fistful of seeds into his mouth. Don't forget the pomegranates. After dinner, they move to the living room. A small table holds glasses of mint tea, the steam curling upward, and bowls of honey-soaked pastries glisten under the soft light. Layla's grandmother opens a tin box filled with crumbly butter cookies dusted with powdered sugar. Take one, have you, Ty? Make a wish. Layla picks a cookie, its soft surface leaving a powdery trace on her fingers. Closing her eyes, she clutches the cookie tightly and makes her wish, whispering it silently into the quiet air. The first bite crumbles on her tongue, buttery sweetness melting into a delicate warmth that seems to wrap her heart. A good wish. Layla nods, her smile shy but bright. The balcony doors swing open, inviting in the crisp night air. From outside comes the sound of Cairo at its most alive. Children's laughter mingling with the hum of distant radios, the occasional burst of a firework painting the night in sound and light. Come, the fireworks are starting. Layla follows him outside. The cold brushes her cheeks, sharp but exhilarating. A loud boom splits the air, and she looks up just in time to see a firework burst into green and gold. The light dances across the windows of nearby buildings, shimmering like fleeting jewels. Wow! The neighborhood is alive with celebration. Families gather on rooftops and balconies, their cheers and laughter carrying through the streets. Children dart about with sparklers in hand, leaving golden trails in the darkness. Layla holds a sparkler of her own, the bright, crackling light casting a soft glow against the walls. She waves it in loops and spirals, giggling as the sparks follow her movements like a comet's tail. Her father kneels beside her, holding out a small firework. Do you want to light one? Layla hesitates, her heart pounding with a mix of excitement and nerves. The firework feels heavy in her hands, its potential electric. You can do it. Be brave. Taking a deep breath, Layla strikes the match, the sharp hiss of flame making her fingers tremble. She touches it to the fuse and steps back as sparks race along the string. The firework shoots into the sky with a whistle, bursting into a bloom of red and gold. Layla's chest fills with pride as she watches the colors rain down. I did it. Her father grins, ruffling her hair. You did. A perfect start to the new year. Inside, the warmth of the apartment wraps around them once more. Layla's mother places a small golden coin in her hand, the metal cool and solid. This will bring you luck. Keep it close. Layla slips the coin into her pocket, its weight comforting against her palm. Her grandmother sits in her chair, the flickering light casting soft shadows across her shawl. She pours tea into delicate glasses, the minty aroma filling the room. The new year is a gift. What will you do with yours, Layla? Layla pauses, the candlelight catching the thoughtful tilt of her head. I want to be braver, like tonight. Her grandmother's smile deepens, lines crinkling around her wise eyes. Then let this be your year of courage. Layla takes a sip of tea, the warmth spreading through her chest. Outside, the faint crackle of distant fireworks lingers in the air, a final celebration echoing into the night. Curled up on the sofa, Layla's thoughts wander to the adventures waiting in the year ahead. Courage feels within her grasp, as real and tangible as the soft weight of the coin in her pocket. As her eyes grow heavy, the promise of a new year settles in her heart, a year of bravery, joy, and endless possibility. Let's head down under now to Australia, where we'll celebrate with Ben. The waves curl lazily along the shore, their foamy edges glittering like scattered diamonds under the blazing sunlight. Ben dashes across the scorching sand, his surfboard tucked tightly under his arm. Overhead, gulls wheel and cry, their calls blending with the distant laughter of families sprawled beneath colorful umbrellas. The scent of salt and sunscreen fills the air, mingling with the occasional whiff of fried snacks from a nearby stall. The sand shifts warmly under his feet as Ben reaches the water's edge. The first touch of the cool ocean sends a shiver up his legs, and he plunges forward, eagerly splashing through the shallows. His father stands waist-deep in the surf, his wide-brimmed hat bobbing slightly as he gestures toward an approaching swell. Come on, mate. Perfect one coming your way. Ben gives a quick nod, his heart thudding as he wades deeper. The surfboard bobs alongside him, the waxed surface rough against his palms as he grips it tightly. His chest tightens with both anticipation and determination. He isn't the best at surfing, yet more wipeouts than rides, but today feels different. Today, he's certain he'll catch a wave worth remembering. Now, paddle, paddle, paddle. Ben throws himself onto the board, his arms slicing through the water in powerful strokes. The waves catches him, lifting him like an invisible hand. For a heart-stopping moment, he rises, knees wobbling as he stands on the board. The ocean roars beneath him, a rush of power and freedom surging through his veins. Then the inevitable. He tumbles into the foamy embrace of the water, his laughter bubbling up even as he surfaces hair plastered to his forehead. Good one, Benny. Ben grins pride glowing on his sun-kissed cheeks as he paddles back toward shore. His heart races not from exertion but from pure exhilaration. The beach stretches wide and golden into the afternoon sun, a patchwork of towels, coolers, and half-built sandcastles. Families cluster beneath umbrellas, chatting and laughing as children dart in and out of the shallows. Ben trudges up the beach, his surfboard balanced awkwardly against his side. His mum waves from their chosen spot, a checkered cloth already spread with sandwiches, fruit, and bottles of lemonade. Lunch is ready. Ben flops onto the blanket, leaving his surfboard propped against a nearby rock. The scent of salt lingers on his skin as he grabs a sandwich. The first bite floods his mouth with the crisp crunch of lettuce and the creamy tang of chicken filling. He leans back, savoring the moment as his dad settles down beside him with his own sandwich. "Not bad out there, champ." Ben smiles through a mouthful of food, his gaze drifting toward the water where others are catching waves. Nearby, a man strums a mellow tune on a guitar, his music mingling with the distant cries of gulls and the delighted squeals of kids chasing beach balls. It's going to be perfect tonight, not a single cloud. Ben sits up, excitement sparking in his chest. The Sydney New Year's fireworks are his favorite tradition, their vibrant colors lighting up both the sky and the harbor. The thought of watching them from their usual spot by the Opera House sends a thrill through him. I can't wait. As the sun dips lower, streaking the horizon with fiery orange and pink, Ben stands in front of the mirror in his room. He smooths the front of his favorite blue polo shirt, wiping away the last grains of sand from his freckled cheeks. The faint buzz of cicadas hums outside the window, mixing with the soft murmur of voices from the living room. "Ready, mate?" Ben grabs his hat, dashes out, and slaps his sandals against the tiled floor. The drive to Sydney Harbor takes longer than usual, the streets packed with families in festive outfits. The air vibrates with chatter and laughter as pedestrians weave between cars carrying picnic baskets and folding chairs. When they finally reach the harbor, Ben's breath catches. The skyline shimmers against the darkening sky, the water reflecting streaks of gold and blue. The harbor bridge looms ahead, its massive steel arcs glowing faintly in the growing dusk. Boats drift nearby their decks, crowded with people waving glow sticks and sparklers. Ben's family finds a spot on the grass near the edge of the water, spreading out their blanket. Around them, others are setting up for the evening, their laughter weaving into the festive hum of the crowd. "I'll be back." "Where are you off to?" "Just looking around." Ben darts through the crowd, the flashlight beam bouncing ahead of him. He stops at a booth selling lemonade, the sugary scent, mingling with the sticky sweetness of cotton candy wafting through the air. Nearby, a group of kids plays tag under the trees, their shrieks of laughter cutting through the gentle hum of conversation. Ben watches them for a moment, his heart light and full of the day's joy. 5 minutes to midnight. Ben hurries back to his family's blanket, sliding into place between his parents. The air buzzes with anticipation, voices swelling as the minutes tick down. His dad points toward the bridge where the first firework streaks into the sky with a high-pitched whistle. It bursts into a dazzling explosion of red and gold, drawing gasps and cheers from the crowd. Ben tilts his head back, wide-eyed, as more fireworks follow, blue, green, and purple, each one brighter than the last. The colors ripple across the water, shimmering like molten jewels. The Opera House stands silhouetted against the fiery glow, its sails bathed in shifting hues. A golden waterfall of sparks cascades from the bridge, the crowd erupting into thunderous applause. Ben feels the vibrations in his chest, the deep booms of the fireworks mixing with the collective cheer. He can't tear his eyes away from the sky, each burst of color more magnificent than the last. "This is amazing. Happy New Year, sweetheart. Happy New Year." The walk back to the car is quieter, the streets glowing with the remnants of celebration. People wish each other a Happy New Year in warm, lingering tones. Ben leans against his dad's side, his body heavy with exhaustion, but his spirit light with tonight's memories. At home, he climbs into bed, the cool sheet soothing against his sun-warmed skin. The echoes of the fireworks linger in his mind, vibrant streaks of light burned into his thoughts. He stares at the ceiling, replaying the day's moments. "I'll get better at surfing this year." From the living room, the sound of his dad's laughter carries through the house. Ben smiles, his heart full of promise as he closes his eyes. The new year stretches before him like the open waves, endless, inviting, and ready to be conquered. Our next stop on our New Year's Eve adventure is Germany, where we'll meet Emil. The cold German air niffs at Emil's nose as he shoves his hands deeper into his coat pockets. His boots crunch on the snow-dusted cobblestones of the village square, the sound blending with the lively hum around him. Strings of fairy lights crisscross overhead, their golden glow reflecting off frost-covered rooftops and dancing in the glassy windows of nearby shops. Laughter ripples through the crowd, mingling with the low murmur of neighbors chatting and the cheerful notes of a brass band playing near the towering fir tree at the square's center. The fir tree stands tall and resplendent, its thick branches heavy with twinkling candles, star-shaped ornaments, and garlands of pine cones dusted in glitter. The faint scent of fresh pine mingles with the crispness of the evening. Enyo gazes up at the tree, transfixed by the way its lights cast flickering patterns against the deepening blue of the sky. Emil, come on. I'm coming. He jogs after her, the cold biting at his cheeks as he hurries toward their home. The warm glow of its windows spills onto the cobblestones, inviting and familiar. He steps inside, and the rich scent of roasting sausages and freshly baked bread envelops him, immediately warm and comforting like a favorite blanket. The kitchen buzzes with motion. Emil's mother stirs a steaming pot, the aroma of caramelized onions wafting through the room as she hums a melody under her breath. His father strides in from the pantry, balancing a large tray covered with a crisp white cloth. Did you get the marzipan pigs? They're on the table. Emil followed her gaze and spots a platter of pink marzipan figurines, each shaped like a tiny pig with a cheerful smile and a curly tail. His stomach rumbles. He reaches for one, the almond-scented treat soft and sticky between her fingers, but Lena swats his hand away with a mock scowl. Not yet. They're for luck. You'll ruin the magic if you eat one too soon. But it's just candy. Not tonight, it isn't. It's tradition. The dining table is already laden with food by the time the family gathers. Emil stares in awe at the spread. Crispy roast pork glistens under the warm light of the chandelier. Creamy potato salad sits beside tangy red cabbage, and thick slices of rye bread are arranged in neat rows. In the center, a bowl of lentils clings their tiny round shapes, catching the light like copper coins. More lentils, Emil. Do I have to? Of course. Every lentil means a coin in the new year. Eat enough and you'll be rich. Emil sighs but takes a small bite. The lentils are earthy and warm, their subtle flavor comforting in a way he doesn't expect. Beside him, Lena crunches on a slice of sauerkraut, her grin widening as she catches his gaze. Not so bad, right? Better than liverwurst. Around them, the clinking of glasses and cheerful chatter fills the room, blending with the occasional pop of a champagne cork from the counter where his parents prepare the midnight toast. As the hour creeps closer to midnight, Emil's father sets a small cast-iron pot on the table. Time for a Blagieson. Emil leans forward, excitement dancing in his eyes. His father places the lead into a long-handled spoon and holds it over the flickering flame of a candle. The metal begins to melt, pooling into a silvery liquid that glows faintly in the dim light. What will mine be this year? Patience, you'll see. When the lead is fully melted, his father tips the spoon into a bowl of cold water. The metal hisses and hardens into a strange, twisted shape. Emil reaches in eagerly, his fingers brushing against the cool lump as he pulls it out. What does it look like? Lena squints, tilting her head. A ship. A ship. A ship means adventure. Perhaps this year will take you somewhere new. The thought sends a thrill through Emil, his mind racing with the possibilities. Adventure. The word seems to echo in his chest, warm and promising. The television in the living room suddenly bursts to life, the announcer's voice counting down the minutes to midnight. Emil and Lena scramble to the couch, clutching their glasses of sparkling juice as the family gathers around. 7, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 3, 2, 1, frohes neues Jahr. The room erupts in cheers as the screen explodes with the brilliance of fireworks. Emil and Lena leap to their feet, their voices joining the chorus of celebration. Frohes neues Jahr, Emil. Outside the village, square brims with life. Emil and Lena race into the cold night, sparklers clutched in their gloved hands. The air crackles with the sound of fireworks bursting overhead, their vibrant colors spilling across the sky. Emil holds his sparkler high, tracing glowing shapes against the dark. He spins in circles, the sparks trailing behind him like tiny stars. Lena, look. Lena writes her name in the air, with hers laughing as the letters dissolve into golden light. Around them, neighbors cheer and clap their faces, lit by the gentle flicker of candles and the brilliance of nearby firecrackers. When the night finally quiets, the family returns home. Emil curls up on the couch, a steaming mug of cocoa warming his hands. Lena hands him one of the marzipan pigs, her smile soft. Now you can eat it. Emil bites into the sweet treat, its almond flavor melting on his tongue. The richness lingers as he leans his head against his mother's shoulder, the warmth of the room wrapping around him. Adventure, he thinks the promise as vivid as the fireworks that still echo faintly in the distance. Our next New Year's Eve celebration takes us to the United States, where we meet Sophia. The air in Times Square thrums with energy, a living current that ripples through the crowd packed shoulder to shoulder. Sophia cranes her neck, her breath clouding in the sharp winter air as towering skyscrapers blink with light. The kaleidoscope of digital billboards flashes advertisements and countdowns, bathing thousands of bundled-up strangers in neon pinks, blues, and golds. Voices ebb and swell in the collective hum of anticipation. "Sophia, over here!" Her dad's voice cuts through the din, and she spots him waving by a cluster of laughing teenagers. Her mom stands beside him, clutching two steaming cups of hot chocolate. "Thanks, Dad." She takes the cup, its heat seeping through her gloves. The rich scent of chocolate and marshmallow curls up momentarily, blocking out the crisp metallic bite of the winter breeze. Her boots crunch against patches of frozen confetti as she bounces on her toes, trying to shake the chill creeping up her legs. Around her, strangers laugh and chat, their faces glowing with excitement and flushed from the cold. A little girl perches on her dad's shoulder, shaking golden noisemakers in a rhythmic clang. Nearby, a group of friends wearing glittery Happy New Year headbands hold up signs for a camera crew, their LED lights winking in time with their cheers. "This is unreal. I can't believe we're actually here. It's your first New Year's in Times Square." Of course we had to make it special. Sophia grins, her heart swelling as she takes in the scene. Above the throng, the enormous crystal ball perched atop one Times Square glimmers like a galaxy caught in glass. Each Waterford crystal shard catches the light-scattering rainbows that seem to shimmer in the frosty night air. And now, please welcome tonight's headline performer. A cheer erupts as a famous singer strides onto the stage, and the bass line of a familiar pop anthem thuds through the square. Sophia feels the vibration in her chest as the melody builds, and she joins in the chorus with the thousands of voices around her. The sound becomes a tidal wave of joy, rising and crashing in perfect harmony. For a moment, she forgets the cold, the hours of waiting, the ache in her feet. Here she belongs. You've got that look again. What look? The one where you're about to burst from excitement? Maybe. It's just, this is amazing. There's nowhere else like this. As the final hour approaches, her dad pulls out a bag filled with party gear. He hands Sophia a pair of oversized plastic glasses shaped like 2024 glitter, sparkling along the frames. Her mom adjusts a silver tiara on her head that flashes "Happy New Year" in bright LED letters. "You're rocking the look. I look ridiculous. You look amazing. Now we just need sparklers." 10 minutes to go. Sophia feels the excitement ripple through her like electricity. She shifts her weight, craning her neck to see the ball above. Its surface pulses with light brighter and brighter, as if gathering every ounce of magic for the countdown. Don't forget your wish. The final minute begins. 60, 59, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. The crystal ball completes its descent and the square explodes into cheers. Fireworks burst overhead, brilliant red, gold, and blue, painting the night sky in shimmering streaks. A dazzling storm of confetti rains down, spinning and swirling like a rainbow snowstorm. The crowd's roar becomes a song, voices crying "Happy New Year" into the chilly air. "Happy New Year. Happy New Year, kiddo." The three of them stay huddled together as Auld Lang Syne begins to play, the crowd swaying in time. Confetti piles at her feet and she scoops a handful into her gloves. Tiny strips of paper, each printed with words: love, joy, adventure. She reads them aloud, her voice soft but reverent. That's what tonight is for, a chance to start fresh. Sophia tucks a few into her pocket, each slip a keepsake, a promise to herself. As the fireworks continue to light the sky, she tilts her head back, marveling at the colors reflecting off the skyscrapers like a living kaleidoscope. This is the best New Year's ever, and it's only just starting. The fireworks fade, leaving the square glowing with the remnants of joy. The crowd begins to disperse, people spilling into nearby streets and diners, laughter trailing behind them like ribbons in the air. Sophia's family wanders into a small cafe. The warmth wraps around her as they slide into a booth. She cups another mug of hot chocolate, her cheeks still tingling from the cold. Outside the window, people clutch noisemakers and confetti their smiles as wide as her own. "So, what's your wish?" Sophia stirs her drink, hesitating only for a moment. "I wished for courage, to try new things this year and not be scared to fail. That's a beautiful wish, and I know you'll make it come true." Sophia smiles, the weight of her mom's belief settling warmly in her chest. They finish their drinks, their conversations soft and full of plans for the year ahead. When they return to their hotel, the city's hum still vibrates through the walls. Sophia climbs into bed, her glittery glasses and confetti-sprinkled tiara resting on the nightstand. She stares out at the skyline, the memory of the countdown replaying vividly in her mind. As her eyelids grow heavy, her wish lingers, a quiet hope lighting her heart. For Sophia, this New Year's is more than a celebration. It's a spark, a chance to shine a little brighter with each new beginning. Our final New Year's Eve story takes us to Turkey, where we meet Omar as he celebrates. The late afternoon sun bathes Istanbul in a soft golden glow, its rays dancing on the rippling waters of the Bosphorus. The bustling city hums with life, its narrow streets alive, with vendors calling out, children darting through the crowds, and the faint strains of music blending into the warm air.
A rich aroma of roasted chestnuts wheezes through the air, mingling with the sharp tang of the sea breeze. Omar hurries through the throng in the marketplace, the cobblestones firm beneath his quick feet. He clutches a bag of pomegranates close to his chest, their smooth ruby-like skins glinting in the light while his father strides beside him. A wicker basket swings in his father's hand, brimming with ingredients for the evening's feast. Hold tight to those pomegranates, they are the heart of tonight. I won't let them fall. The marketplace teems with colors and sounds. A vendor measures out bold, fragrant heaps of saffron paprika and cumin, their vibrant reds and yellows dazzling against the soft light. Another seller offers golden simmet, sesame-studded bread rings their nutty scent, tickling Omar's nose. His stomach growls as they pass a stand laden with glossy baklava, layers of honeyed pastry stacked high. "Baba, can we get some?" "Patience, there's plenty waiting at home." Back at their apartment, the kitchen bursts with motion. Omar's mother stands at the counter, her hands moving swiftly as she kneads soft go-tops, a handful of fresh parsley, and stirs a bubbling pot of lentil soup.
The savory aroma of roasting lamb wafts from the oven, carrying hints of garlic and rosemary. Lemon zest perfumes the air, cutting through the warmth with a bright citrusy tang. Omar the pomegranates. Omar rushes to the table, setting the bag down with care next to a tray of dates and a bowl of peeled oranges. The pomegranates glow under the kitchen light, their vibrant color a promise of the evening's abundance. Do you know why we eat these tonight? Because they bring luck. That's right, my clever boy. But more than that, these seeds mean life and blessings. The more seeds, the more blessings for the year ahead. Now, set the table. The dining room glows with warmth, the soft chandelier casting golden light across the polished wooden table. A crisp white tablecloth embroidered with tiny gold stars stretches across its surface. Omar places each plate, carefully adjusting them till they sit perfectly alongside the silverware. Small bowls of creamy yogurt, tangy olives, and crisp burek find their places, the arrangement turning the table into a feast for the eyes. His grandmother enters a tray of tulip-shaped tea glasses balanced in her hands. The dark fragrance swirls in the delicate glasses, their edges clinking softly as she sets them down. Beautiful. You've done well. Omar beams, his chest swelling with pride as his mother sets the centerpiece down, a roasted lamb, glistening with golden brown perfection steam curling from its edges. The rich aroma fills the room, drawing Omar closer. Can we eat now? Not yet. The Barake Parasi. Yes, for prosperity. May it bring us wealth and good fortune in the new year. As everyone takes their seats, Omar's grandmother reaches for the pomegranate seeds, sprinkling them over her plate. Before we eat, let us give thanks. The room falls quiet, save for the occasional crackle from the oven. Each family member speaks in turn, sharing gratitude for the year past and hopes for the one ahead. When it is Omar's turn, he hesitates, then blurts out, "I'm thankful for our family and for all the fun we had." Good boy. The meal begins a celebration of flavors. Omar spears a slice of lamb, its tender meat smoky and rich, and pairs it with a spoonful of fragrant rice pilaf. The cool yogurt dips are refreshing, while the tart burst of pomegranate seeds adds a playful brightness.
Around him, conversation flows freely, laughter mingling with the clink of glasses and the scrape of silverware. As midnight approaches, the family moves to the living room where a fire crackles in the hearth, its golden glow casting flickering shadows on the walls. Omar's father hands out sparklers, their long stems wrapped in bright foil. One by one, the sparklers hiss to life, shooting out bursts of golden light. Omar waves his carefully tracing loops and swirls in the air. The glowing trails linger briefly before fading into darkness. "Look, Baba, let's go to the balcony." The family steps onto the wide stone balcony, the chilly air brushing against their flushed cheeks. Below them, Istanbul hums with celebration. Fireworks erupt over the Bosphorus, their brilliant colors reflecting on the water like shimmering jewels. The domes and minarets of the skyline stand silhouetted against the bursts of light. Omar leans on the railing, his eyes wide as a firework explodes into the shape of a star. Beautiful. The new year is like these fireworks, bright, fleeting, and full of possibilities. When the last firework fades, the family returns inside. Omar's grandmother passes around a tray of baklava, its honey-soaked layers sticky and sweet. Omar bites into one, savoring the richness as it melts on his tongue. "This is for you. Keep it safe. Let it remind you to dream big and work hard this year." Omar clutches the coin, its weight solid and reassuring. He slips it into his pocket, his heart swelling with gratitude. "What's your wish for the new year?" Omar thinks for a moment, then replies, "To be braver, and maybe help Baba more at the market. A good wish. You'll make it come true." As the fire crackles and the scent of pomegranates lingers, Omar leans back against the cushions. Laughter echoes around him, warm and comforting. For Omar, the new year feels like a golden thread stretching before him, ready to weave a tapestry of adventure, joy, and hope. As the world turns and midnight comes and goes across time zones, the echoes of celebration begin to soften. The fireworks fade into the night, leaving only trails of smoke drifting across the skies. Streets once alive with music and laughter grow quiet, and the clinking of glasses and cheers give way to murmurs of good night.
Families linger by their hearths, the warmth of their gatherings lingering in the air, like the fading glow of a fire. On sandy beaches, lanterns bob gently on the waves, their light a reminder of the hopes sent to the sea. In snowy villages, candles flicker low, their wax pools glistening in the soft shadows of the early hours. Yet even as the festivities wind down, their spirit lingers in the hearts of everyone who participates. The New Year's celebrations, as diverse and vibrant as the world itself, are not just moments of joy, but threads in the tapestry of shared humanity. Across continents, people look to the skies, whisper wishes, and dream of what the coming year might bring. Whether with a glass raised in a bustling city or a quiet prayer offered in solitude, they all embrace the hope of renewal, the promise of starting anew. For children, the magic lingers longest. A boy in Germany curls under a warm blanket, clutching the tiny lead ship he believes will guide him to adventures. In India, a girl drifts to sleep beside her grandmother's garlands of marigolds, her dreams painted with bright sparks of fireworks. On a Brazilian beach, a young girl's bracelet glints faintly under the moonlight as she slumbers, her thoughts full of waves and stars. Each carries with them the intangible gifts of a night, wonder, joy, and the seed of possibility that will grow with them through the year. The new year, like the dawn that follows it, is fresh and unspoiled, a vast horizon of opportunities. And though the world's celebrations are as varied as the cultures that nurture them, they all carry a common message: hope for the future and gratitude for the past. These are moments that remind everyone, no matter where they were or how they live, that they are part of something greater, a world that shares in its dreams and its possibilities. As the first light of dawn touches the earth, the celebrations give way to quiet reflection and renewed determination. New Year's Eve is a night of magic, but its true gift is what comes next, the chance to take that magic and carry it forward into the days ahead. Across the globe, as candles burn low and stars fade into the growing light, the world prepares to step boldly into the new year, its heart full of hope and its eyes set on the horizon. Thanks for dropping by Kringle's Christmas Stories, and we all wish you a very happy, healthy new year. Remember to eat your Comet's Choice reindeer food at cometschoice.com. Remember to follow, like, and share.